So today we're going to show you how to do a winterization. I'm not going to be able to shoot one continuous full video because I am doing this live, so I'm going to have to switch between the video and my photos for the client. But I've already accessed this property, I've walked it, I've set up all my hoses, and we're going to pick it up from here. First thing you want to do is walk that property and walk the entire property, see if what kind of water system you're working with. This one's city water. But you want to make sure you don't have a well. You want to check the entire interior of this house for damages, obvious plumbing damages that are going to dump water all over the house as soon as you put air pressure to the lines. But for this video, we'll pick it up here. So the first thing, after you walk the property, figure out what you're working with, you're going to want to access the main shutoff valve. I'm in Texas, so we don't have accessible secondary shutoff valves most of the time, so we don't have a choice. We have to access this crock, but you have to check your local ordinances to make sure that you can legally access this crock. This water was off when I got here, so I just put the zip tie on there. Make sure you get a picture of that zip tie of the water in the off position. Preferably make it your first photo before you start your winterization. After you take full property photos, you're going to want to get that first to show them before we start the winter. Water's off, zip tie is on. The reason for that zip tie is in case somebody gets over here and compromises our winterization. If they turn the water on as soon as I leave and the property freezes, I need to be able to come over here and show them that my zip tie is broken. We have a compromised winterization. Any damages resulting are not my fault, but we'd be happy to bid them and take care of them for them. So we're going to take a photo of the water meter, water crock, everything's good. Make sure we get that photo to the client, and then we'll put the lid back on that. I'll do that in a minute. So we'll make a quick rundown of this property. It's windy out here, so I'm going to get inside as quick as I can. So again, before you start the winterization, you're going to walk around and see exactly what kind of plumbing situation you're dealing with. This is a city plumbing. This is a tiny little house, only got one bathroom. House is in pretty good shape. We're going to check the toilet, make sure it's not full of feces or urine, to see if we need to capture the water from the water heater in order to clean that toilet. We carry water with us, but we don't use it unless we have to. You know, if the water heater previously drained, doesn't have any water in it, something that you can't clean the toilet with, you want to have water with you. But this house is going to have water in the water heater, and I got a clean toilet. So all I'll do once I start the wint, and I'll get that water out of there and the water out of the tank back here. I can probably go ahead and flush this down. We'll get as much of the water out of that tank that's going to come out naturally, and then we'll get the rest of it here in a minute. So as soon as we put air to these lines, I'm going to leave that toilet sitting just like it is right now, and then the air will blow the water out of that line, and then you'll start hearing bubbling in your tank, and then your water line is clear from that. So you can, once that happens, once you get air there, you can shut that valve off to make sure you don't lose any air out of that toilet, and you can properly complete the rest of the wint. So we're just going to scan everything, make sure, you know, we got no obvious damages that are going to flood this house. And again, it's all about photo documentation. So we're going to be snapping before photos of all these items. I'm going to come over here and take a look at the kitchen. Again, I've already been in here. Plumbing up there, you're not going to be able to see it till you put air on it. So down here we do have mold. So that's going to be a bid opportunity for us. We're going to make sure we snap good photos of that and document it on our damages to make sure we get a good bid in and potential for a bid approval. Plumbing down there looks okay. Doesn't look like it's going to blow water all over the place. I've already got my hoses rigged up and ready to go in here. So you can see I've got my blowout tool on there now. It has to be a sealed connection on a hose bib. Some people that don't really know what they're doing, they'll try to hold an air chuck up here or something. It's not going to work. You're not going to get all the water out of the house, so don't even try it. Your wind's going to decline and you're wasting your time. You have to have an inline pressure gauge. Once we start this wint, we'll pressure this thing up. You can see I like to leave my air compressor sitting in the back of the truck. It's out there, so we'll take a picture of that, showing them what kind of air compressor we're using. Snap a picture of that to show them we have a sealed connection. Our water heater in this house is in a really weird place. I had to pull this panel off to access it. This is the only access hole, and it's covered with a wall, you can see. So it's about all the room we got right there. We're gonna make sure this is a gas water heater, so we're gonna terminate the gas line, which I've already done. We'll turn it off up there at the top. We'll snap a picture of both of those. If this was an electric, Water heater, you want to go to the breaker and turn the breaker in the off position and tape it in the off position. That way you don't have a water heater just sitting there cooking that doesn't have any water in it. It'll, worst case, burn the house down. Best case, just ruin the water heater. Anyway, so we're hooked up on a drain. We're going to snap photos of that here in a minute. This has to be drained outside. So you can see I've got my hose laying right there, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it up out of that window, make sure it is outside. We'll snap a photo of this hose outside once the water's pouring out of it, showing that we did drain the water heater outside. If you miss that photo, you'll have to go back. In any instance, if you can't reach outside, for some reason, we've had some, up in attics that, we just didn't have enough water hose with us. In that case, it is acceptable to run the water into a drain, a proper drain, a bathtub drain, laundry room drain, something. Just make sure you don't just blow the water down on the floor. It mostly happens up north of where there's basements. We'll see guys just draining water onto the floor of the basement, knowing that it's going to run into the crock. Your went will decline. Do not do that. So anyway, we're going to run through here. Once I put pressure on that, we'll get the water heater draining. And again, I'll snap a photo of it draining outside. Once the water heater is fully drained, we'll come turn the drain off on the water heater. And then if you have a 2-story house, you'll start in the 2nd story. This is a single story. So we'll start at the line that's farthest away from where we're blowing. Doesn't really matter, to be honest with you, but if you're in a 2-story house, you have to start on the 2nd floor because the water is going to settle down as you blow them. So if you blow your 1st floor first and then go up to the 2nd floor, you're going to have more water run downstairs that's going to be sitting in those pipes. So anyway, here's how you do it. Once the pressure is on the pipes, you're going to do it 1 valve at a time. You're going to come over here and you'll turn the hot water on. This doesn't have any pressure on it. That's natural pressure, by the way, but we'll start the way here in a second. So you'll 1 valve at a time. So you'll turn this on and you'll let all the water run out and then you'll get air through it. Nothing but air. Once you get nothing but air, you can go ahead and turn that off and then switch over to the cold side. Blow all the water out and then you'll get air. Turn it off. Move to the next valve. You can cold, hot, same way. Snap a photo of these draining to show the client we're draining all the water out after the water has been terminated at the curb. We'll go over here to the kitchen. Do the same thing. We'll drain the hot. Doesn't really matter which one you do first. I always start with the hot line and then I switch over to the cold line. And then after this is done, I'll jump outside and I'll do the exterior hose bib. So we'll drain the one out front and then the one out back. And then we'll close them all up and we'll pressure the system up to 35, 40 PSI. And then we'll turn off all of our air supply to it. And we'll leave our pressure gauge on it and we'll see if we're losing air. We got to do that 15, 20 minutes. See if we lose any air in here anywhere. And if that happens, we have to identify exactly where the air is coming from. You can normally hear it. Every now and then it gets pretty tricky, but you have to assess where is that damage located. If for some reason you just cannot figure out where it's coming from, we have to bid third-party pro plumber bid, but we do have a couple of clients that just do not allow those. They expect our contractors to be actual preservation contractors and know what they're talking about. So you need to do the best you can to identify any and all damages throughout, and we'll bid them back to the client. I'll try to shoot a second video showing you the finished product over here. Once we're done with all the pressure check, everything's good, we will come put antifreeze in all the sinks, all the traps, toilet bowl, toilet tank after we get all the water out of them. Down in the laundry room drain line, dishwasher, if there's a dishwasher, make sure you put it in there and make sure you photo document every single one of them. And you have to put enough antifreeze in your toilets to make sure that it comes up above the trap line so we don't get any sewer gas past it and it stinks up the house. But we'll make sure we put antifreeze in there and we'll show a picture of us pouring it in there. And then when we're done with that, we'll take our client forms. Make sure you get the right client forms. Refer to your work order. If you're client 101, client 201, etc., make sure you get the right forms, and then you're going to put a went form on every single thing that you winterize. Put one on the water heater, put one at the laundry connection, put one on the sink, put one on the toilet, put one on the bathroom sink, shower, etc., and one on the front door. Make sure you photo document every one of them. And that's about it. It's as simple as that. General winterization takes, half hour to an hour, unless you have problems. If you have any problem getting I'll show you the tool I use. If for some reason your water heater is clogged up and you can't get it to drain and it's taking forever, the best thing to do is have just a standard washing machine supply line with you that's cut with an air chuck on it. Lay this down. Looks like that. So you can screw that onto your water hose that's already connected to your water heater, and then put a little air to it, and you'll hear it blow all the sand up out of the drain into the water heater. And then you can release this quickly, and your water hose will start flowing. And that's how you take care of that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call and ask. Make sure you get a pressure of your compressor, or a picture of your compressor. And pink antifreeze only, guys. Pink only. Use anything else. It's also, one of our clients requires that the toilets be shrink wrapped over, and then you put the sign over the top of the shrink wrap. Always carry some toilet cleaner with you, plunger, just in case you need to get the plumbing cleared out. And that should do it.